Hello folks, this is just a little video to guide you through the next little stage in our journey of exploration of the differences in the patterns across the world. And I just noticed a little typo there already. Let's sort that out, shall we? So what we're going to be doing here really is comparing sub-Saharan Africa with Asia. The story so far was both of these continents had experienced colonization. Not every country in Asia was colonized, but large portions of it were. And as we've discovered before, colonization had left these countries with some significant and serious challenges and obstacles to overcome in the process of development. So they were both starting in more or less the same position, but they ended up in very, very different places now. We've seen that from our How Connected Are We map. Whenever we looked here at the number of items that were coming here in from these different locations, what we're able to see is that we are very connected to Asia, but we're not connected at all in our survey to sub-Saharan Africa. And it turns out that that does really reflect the overall pattern of trade between Asia and Europe and Africa and Europe. The trade flows are much more in that west-east direction than the north-south direction. And our big question that we've been asking is why? Why is it that having started in similar positions, these two continents, these two areas, have had such different experiences since then? So as we move towards that answer, what I want us to do now is to move into a really kind of fine-grained comparison of these two areas. There's the link in the slides here for you to open up the map. Then what I'm going to get you to do is to choose one country from sub-Saharan Africa. Now there should be enough there for one each. Just simply type your name in beside it, and I want you to pick one country from Asia. Now fill that up before you start to double up. If there's not enough for everybody, you can begin to double up, but I want to try and get those all represented. And the idea then is that we're going to provide a really fine-grained, detailed country-by-country description. Because remember, although we're generalizing about these continents, although we generalize about sub-Saharan Africa, yes, Africa, as we keep on saying, is a continent, not a country. And although we're about to generalize about Asia, the same applies there too. If you even quick glance across the colors there, these are the percentage employed manufacturing industry. You can even see here there's a big range from China up here down to Papua New Guinea down here. So Asia is a continent, not a country. So what we want to do is to get a really fine-grained examination of the differences between the two. So you're going to pick those, and then you're going to use those to come in and complete the slides. Now I'm going to do one for you by way of example, and I'll use that as a model for you to be able to refer to. So let's go in here and pick, well, let's go into Chad. And this is how you'll do it. You go in and you can type in there, if you pick a country you don't know where it is, you can type it in, it'll take you through to it. This is where Chad is, and what I want to do is click on here. Now, this then opens up a layer showing the percentage employed in manufacturing industry, and you'll see that I've got that information over time. So although the graph just represents the latest value, which is 2020, or the map does, sorry, at the bottom what you'll see here is a graph for that over time. Now what you need to do is to use the screen grab tool, Windows Shift and S on a PC, to drag that across and copy it. You're then going to come into your slide, paste, and that's going to be there. And our country here is Chad, and Chad is in Africa. Now, one of the things I want you to do is to mark on here where Chad is. So again, you can come back to the map, you can zoom out a little bit and see where Chad is in the map, and there it is right there. So what you'll need to do is find some way you can draw a line or put a box around it, something like that, to mark on where Chad is in Africa. So I put a box like that, and I can make it transparent, and I can put a line around it like so, and there is Chad in Africa. And then what we want to be doing is going in and picking our Asian country. So if we come over here and let's just say, dog's going mad in the background. Hold on a wee second to go and sort them out. Okay, let's get back into this then. Right, if I pick Thailand, same thing again. and I'm going to scroll down. There's all of the things over time, and then there's my little graph at the bottom, and I want to do the snip tool, and back in here I can move this in, and then you can fill that in at the top. That's then going to be Thailand. Now, what I then want you to do is to go in and do a description of these. And the description, remember, this is a trend over time. It's a shame that they didn't, it doesn't put the dates on there. The dates are shown here on the table, so if you need to go and get any of the figures, you'll see them in the table. So it starts at 1991 and goes up to 2020. So you've got a 30-year period there. So over that 30-year period, what is happened here? So you're looking for your trend, right? So you can add a line on for your trend line. I think the trend line there is pretty much straight. Would you agree with me? It doesn't really change that much. Make that a little bit thicker, and there's the trend line. So what you'll be doing there is typically a verb to show what's happening, increasing or decreasing or staying the same. Typically you would have an adverb as well, which is describing the way in which it is changing, but this isn't really changing, so you don't need an adverb. But if your graph is changing, and some of them will, you will need a verb, you'll need an adverb, and of course you'll need some figures. If you want to get the figures, you can, of course, as I say, go back and get them from the table in here. So that's your verb, adverb, your trend there. Now next we're going to... Dearie me, somebody is daring to come to my front door. How dare they? Right, let's come over here and add in the trend line this time. I think it's the postman. Dear love the poor postman. There is the trend line this time. I would say, would you agree with me? And there's always natural variation, but you're looking for the trend. Now, what you might have in your graph is a couple of sub-trends. It may not just be one single one, but you're looking here at the trend. So I would say that that's increasing. And what would your adverb be there? Well, let's go and get some of the figures. So it increases in 1991 from 15% employed in manufacturing industry to 22%. I would say that's increasing gradually. There's a wee bit of variation up and down, but you'll have your verb and your adverb. And then the final thing I want you to do is an overall comparison. Now, here's where you need to be careful. Look at the vertical scale. Not to 2%, not to 20%. If you think that Chad is very similar to Thailand, you are very mistaken. In actual fact, if I was to shrink that down to have a scale that was something similar, I would probably have to shrink it down to about, I would say about that. Something like that. To fit in the scales, maybe even less than that. To give an equivalent scale. If those graphs were both drawn on the same set of axes, that's pretty much what you would end up with. Now, you'll not make any sense of that graph if it's like that, so don't do that. But please be aware of the scale. Your scales will be different. So your overall comparison, what are you going to say here? Get rid of that, it's awful. What you're going to say is that Chad started low, 2%, and stayed low. Thailand started high, much higher, and got even higher still. So it started with about 15% going up to, what was the figure? Again, about 20%, so about a fifth of the population are employed in manufacturing. And remember the benefit of that: when you manufacture a product, you add value to it, and when you add value to it, you can sell it for more, and when you sell it for more, you can make more money, and when you make more money, you can invest more money. This is definitely, for many countries, a pathway towards development. So what you need to do is to make sure that you're comparing properly and be careful with the scale. So by the time we're finished, then what we should have is a big collection of an analysis of just so many different countries. The graphs will be all unique. Remember, Africa is a continent, not a country. Asia is a continent, not a country. We can generalize about them, undoubtedly. If I zoom back out again, we can undoubtedly generalize about them. Sub-Saharan Africa has a lot more orange and red. Asia has a lot more green and blue. Look at the key. You can generalize, but each country's journey will be unique and different. Once we've finished that, we'll have a really detailed analysis of the two continents, and then that's when we move on to that burning question: why? If these are the differences, how did they actually come about? And that's what we'll move on to next.